Ford is rolling out 6 changes to the 2026 F-150 that are splitting the truck community right down the middle. If you've been following F-150 updates and feel confused about whether these changes help or hurt the truck, you need to understand exactly what Ford is doing and why it's causing such intense debate. While some buyers see these as improvements, others view them as major steps backward. Let's take a closer look. Number 6. Lobo is great, but some expected more. Ford is bringing back a nameplate that hasn't been seen in the US market for years. The 2026 F-150 Lobo is arriving as a street performance variant, and it's bringing plenty of visual attitude. Expect unique exterior treatments, blacked-out trim, distinctive badging, and a stance that clearly separates it from standard F-150s. The suspension setup is getting tuned specifically for on-road performance, with adjustments aimed at sharper handling and a lower ride height. However, here's where the controversy kicks in. When Ford teased the return of Lobo, enthusiasts immediately started speculating about what would be under the hood. Picture pulling up to a car meet, the visceral rumble of a supercharged V8 announcing your presence. That's the experience enthusiasts were imagining. The dream scenario was obvious, a supercharged V8 pumping out over 700 horsepower. Reality is going to disappoint those hopefuls. Instead of a fire-breathing V8, the Lobo is getting Ford's twin-turbo 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6. Yes, the same engine that already powers multiple F-150 variants. While this power plant produces around 400 horsepower and massive torque, it's not the special, exclusive engine many were expecting. The EcoBoost V6 simply can't replicate that visceral V8 soundtrack. But if you think the Lobo's powertrain disappointment is controversial, wait until you hear what Ford is doing across the entire lineup, because they're making a change that affects every single F-150. Number 5. Rear locker for everyone. For 2026, every F-150 model is getting an electronically locking rear differential as standard equipment. This represents a major democratization of off-road technology that was previously reserved for higher trims or optional packages. Let's be clear about what this means. When one wheel loses grip, the locker forces both rear wheels to rotate at the same speed, ensuring power gets delivered where it's needed. It means even base work trucks will have genuine trail capability right out of the box. However, this decision is sparking heated debate. One camp argues that making rear lockers standard on every F-150 is completely unnecessary. If you're buying an F-150 XL for fleet use or suburban commuting, you're probably never going to engage that rear locker, yet you're still paying for it, and more importantly, you're adding another electronic system that can potentially fail. The complexity argument is particularly strong. The electronically locking differential introduces additional components: actuators, sensors, and control modules. Think about being 200 miles from home when that sensor throws an error code and you're facing a diagnostic fee for a system you never wanted. For commercial buyers who prioritize simplicity, this feels like Ford adding complexity where none was needed. The counter-argument is equally valid. Having a rear locker standard means every F-150 has genuine capability when the weather turns nasty, but the controversy remains. Should Ford have made this an option rather than forcing it on buyers? So Ford is adding features some buyers don't want, but they're also removing equipment that many customers do want, which brings us to our next controversial change. Number 4. Less standard equipment. The 2026 F-150 is actually coming with less standard equipment compared to 2025 models, and this decision is raising eyebrows across the board. The automotive industry has been moving in the opposite direction for years. Features that were once optional extras have gradually become standard as competition intensifies. Ford appears to be bucking this trend, and the timing couldn't be worse. Right when competitors are adding more standard features, Ford is reverting certain convenience and technology features back to optional status, particularly on lower trim levels. This includes items like power-adjustable seats, upgraded infotainment screens, or advanced driver assistance features that many buyers have come to expect. The controversy here is twofold. First, customers are being asked to pay more for less as base prices are increasing while standard equipment is decreasing. That's a tough sell, especially when buyers are already stretched thin by inflation. Second, this puts the F-150 at a disadvantage against key competitors. When a buyer cross-shops an F-150 against a Ram 1500 or Silverado, those comparison sheets matter. If competing trucks offer more standard features at similar price points, Ford is making their sales team's jobs harder. While Ford is stripping away standard features, they're also tweaking their hybrid system, but those updates aren't addressing the concerns that matter most. Number 3. Hybrid refinement. Ford's PowerBoost hybrid system has been available since 2021, and the company continues making incremental updates. For 2026, additional refinements are being implemented to address feedback from early adopters. The hybrid system offers genuine benefits. The combination of the 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6 and electric motor produces 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy is notably better than gas-only variants, and the ProPower onboard capability turns the truck into a mobile generator. But here's where the controversy heats up. Despite several years on the market, many owners still report that the hybrid system feels unrefined. Imagine cruising at 60 miles per hour when the system suddenly jerks as it transitions from electric to gas power. That's not the smooth experience you expect from a $65,000 truck. Drivers report feeling noticeable lurches or hesitations that shouldn't exist in a modern hybrid. The ProPower onboard generator function draws criticism too. Some users report the system operates less smoothly than expected, with voltage fluctuations and the engine cycling on and off more abruptly than it should. Perhaps most concerning is the reliability track record. The PowerBoost hybrid has developed a reputation for electrical gremlins and component failures, with some owners experiencing problems well before 100,000 miles. Battery cooling issues, electric motor faults, and transmission problems have all been reported. Ford hasn't announced any substantial improvements to address these reliability concerns for 2026. Toyota's hybrid trucks are legendary for reliability, yet Ford had a head start but hasn't leveraged that advantage. Many were hoping for a comprehensive overhaul rather than incremental tweaks. The hybrid system isn't the only thing causing debate. Ford's also making changes to their off-road lineup, and it's not about performance upgrades. Number 2. Tremor gets running boards. For 2026, Ford is adding running boards as standard equipment on the Tremor, and this seemingly simple addition is creating surprising controversy. On the surface, running boards make perfect sense. The Tremor sits higher than standard F-150s, and that increased ride height can make entry and exit challenging. Running boards solve this problem, making the truck more accessible for daily use. However, the off-road community is split. The first group argues that if running boards are valuable enough to be standard on Tremor, why aren't they included on other off-road variants? The FX4 package also features increased ground clearance. Ford's selective application of this feature feels arbitrary. The second criticism cuts deeper. Critics argue that Ford could have used this opportunity to add more substantial off-road upgrades rather than focusing on a convenience feature. Where are the upgraded skid plates? Why not add a more aggressive tire package? How about a front locking differential? Running boards are nice, but they don't enhance off-road capability, and some argue their reliability on technical trails. All these changes would be easier to swallow if Ford wasn't also doing something that affects every single buyer. Number 1. Price increase. The 2026 model year is bringing another round of price increases across the entire lineup, and these aren't small bumps. We're talking substantial increases, making many loyal customers reconsider their purchases. The base F-150 XL is crossing pricing thresholds that once seemed unthinkable. Mid-range trims are pushing deeper into luxury territory, with well-equipped models easily exceeding $60,000. Premium variants are approaching or exceeding $80,000. Here's what makes this particularly controversial. It's happening alongside the changes we've already discussed. Buyers are being asked to pay more for a truck with less standard equipment, a hybrid system that hasn't been fully refined, and updates that many view as incremental. The value equation is deteriorating rapidly. Think about the typical F-150 buyer who's been loyal for decades. They've watched their monthly payment climb from $400 to $600 to $800, and now they're looking at potentially $1,000 or more. That's a mortgage payment in many parts of the country, forcing families to choose between the truck they need and other financial priorities. The justification doesn't hold up to scrutiny either. Yes, material costs have risen, but the 2026 F-150 isn't receiving a comprehensive redesign or revolutionary technology that would warrant such aggressive pricing. The 2026 F-150 represents a crossroads for Ford. Between the Lobo's recycled EcoBoost V6, universal rear lockers adding complexity, reduced standard equipment while prices climb, a hybrid system that hasn't achieved competitor refinement, running boards that satisfy nobody, and price increases pushing the truck out of reach, Ford is testing just how much the market will tolerate. Whether buyers accept these changes will determine if the F-150 maintains its crown or becomes a cautionary tale of a brand that stopped listening. But it's not like Ford is the only one that's making questionable decisions these days, which is why you must check out our video about the controversial changes on the 2026 GMC Sierra. If you thought changes bring improvements, wait to see what GMC has done to its flagship. Instead of a full redesign, the 2026 Sierra brings just a couple of updates that only made things more complicated.